I saved $500. Now I'm anxious about spending $1. Here's something that doesn't make sense. Last month, I finally hit a savings goal that felt impossible 6 months ago. $500, sitting there in my account like a small victory flag. And you'd think I'd feel relief, right? Freedom. Instead, I found myself standing at a coffee shop yesterday, staring at a $4 latte, feeling my chest tighten. $4 out of 500. And I walked away empty-handed. If you've ever felt your relationship with money turn into something that feels more like a prison than a tool, this story is for you. Because I realized something about the way we think about security that I think we all need to hear. Let me paint you a picture of what financial anxiety actually looks like in real life. It's not just being broke. Sometimes it's the opposite. It's having enough money but feeling like you're walking on a tightrope made of dollar bills. Every purchase becomes a calculation. Every expense becomes a judgment call that feels way too heavy for what it actually is. I used to think money anxiety was simple. You don't have enough, so you worry. But here's what I discovered. Sometimes the anxiety gets worse when you finally have some breathing room, because now you have something to lose. For months, I lived paycheck to paycheck. Every dollar had a job before it even hit my account. Rent, groceries, gas, phone bill. There was no room for choices, which meant no room for mistakes. And strangely, that felt safer than having options. When you have nothing, you can't make the wrong choice about spending. When you have something, suddenly every decision matters. Every dollar you spend is a dollar you could have saved. Every purchase becomes a small betrayal of your future self. The $500 I saved didn't happen overnight. It was 3 months of saying no to everything that wasn't absolutely necessary. 3 months of walking past things I wanted. 3 months of choosing the generic brand, skipping social events, and pretending I wasn't tired of the same 5 meals on rotation. But here's the thing about deprivation. It rewires your brain. You start to see spending as dangerous, even when it's not. You start to see money as something that disappears if you're not constantly protecting it. You forget that money is supposed to flow, not just sit there like a dragon hoarding gold. So there I was, standing in that coffee shop, and my brain was doing this weird math. $4 for a latte. That's 1% of my savings. That's $4 I could put towards next month's emergency fund goal. That's $4 I might need if something goes wrong. That's $4 that could buy lunch tomorrow. And while I'm doing this mental gymnastics, other people are just buying their coffee and moving on with their lives because they understand something I had forgotten. Money is meant to be spent on things that matter to you, even small things, even $4 lattes that make your Tuesday morning feel a little more human. I walked out of that coffee shop and realized I had created a new kind of poverty. Not the kind where you can't afford things, but the kind where you won't afford things. Where having money feels just as restrictive as not having money. This is what psychologists call scarcity mindset, and it doesn't automatically disappear when your bank account grows. When you've been running on empty for so long, abundance feels foreign, almost threatening, like it's too good to be true and you need to protect it from yourself. Think about it this way. Imagine you've been carrying a heavy backpack for miles. Your shoulders ache, your back is sore, but you're used to the weight. Then someone offers to carry it for you. Your first instinct isn't relief, it's panic. What if they drop it? What if I need something from inside it? What if you were weaker without it than you thought? That backpack is financial stress, and even when you finally have the option to set it down, it feels safer to keep carrying it, because at least you know you can handle that weight. You don't know if you can handle the freedom. But here's what I learned about myself in that coffee shop, and what I think might help you too. The goal isn't to save money. The goal is to feel safe. And sometimes spending money on something small and kind to yourself is actually the safer choice. Because when you deny yourself every small pleasure, you're not building financial security, you're building resentment. You're teaching yourself that having money means you still can't have nice things. You're turning abundance into another form of scarcity. So I went back to that coffee shop the next day. I ordered the latte. And you know what happened? The world didn't end. My savings didn't disappear. I didn't suddenly become financially irresponsible. I just had a really good cup of coffee and remembered what it felt like to make a choice based on what I wanted, not just what I feared. Here's what I wish someone had told me when I was staring at that $4 decision like it was life or death. There are 3 things that help you break out of the spending anxiety spiral. First, give your money permission to do its job. Money isn't just for emergencies and bills, it's also for small joys and ordinary pleasures. If you only spend money on survival, you're not really living. You're just surviving with a bank balance. Create what I call a joy budget. Even if it's just $20 a month, money that's specifically for things that make you happy but aren't necessary. A book you want to read, a fancy coffee, a small plant for your windowsill. Something that reminds you that you're worth more than just paying bills and staying alive. Second, remember that perfect financial decisions don't exist. Every choice has trade-offs. Every dollar you save is a dollar you're not spending on something else. Every dollar you spend is a dollar you're not saving. The goal isn't to make perfect choices, it's to make conscious ones. Ask yourself, what is this money actually for? If it's just for the feeling of having it, that's not a financial strategy. That's emotional hoarding. Money sitting in an account doing nothing isn't security, it's potential security. And potential doesn't keep you warm or fed or happy. Third, practice spending small amounts without justifying them to yourself. Start with something tiny, a pack of gum, a fancy pen, something that costs less than $5 and serves no practical purpose except that you want it. Buy it without explaining to yourself why you deserve it or need it. Just buy it because you can, because you're allowed to want things. Because having money means you get to make choices, not just emergency payments. This isn't about becoming careless with money. It's about remembering that money is a tool, not a master. It's about understanding that the point of financial security isn't to never spend money, it's to spend money without fear. I still have that $500 saved. Actually, I have $543 now, because I've learned that spending $4 on a latte doesn't make me financially irresponsible. It makes me human. And maybe that's the real insight here. We think financial anxiety is about money, but it's usually about control, about feeling safe in a world that often feels unpredictable, about proving to ourselves that we can handle whatever comes next. But safety isn't just about having money in the bank, it's about trusting yourself to make good decisions with whatever you have. It's about believing that you're worth more than just survival. It's about understanding that the point of financial security isn't to accumulate money, it's to live a life you actually want to be living. So if you're like me, if you've ever stood in a coffee shop doing mental math over a $4 purchase when you have hundreds of dollars in your account, I want you to know something. You're not broken, you're not bad with money. You're just scared, and that's okay. But you're also allowed to buy the coffee. You're allowed to spend money on small things that make your day better. You're allowed to trust yourself with your own money. Because at the end of the day, what's the point of saving money if you never give yourself permission to remember why you wanted it in the first place?